This is gonna be so fucking stupid. Oh god, fucking video game movies. Fuck me. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, those of the unspecified gender! Today, we aren't going to be playing any video games. Today, we're going to be doing a discussion of movies. Very specific type of movies. Today, we're talking about video game movies and why movies like these always tend to suck. So, where to begin? Well, to start, we had to tackle one big problem with video game movies. It's the fact that video games are not the best medium for making a movie. So what do I mean by this? Let's take books. The great thing about books, you sit there, you read them, you're enthralled in the universe, it's great. Ultimately, you are having to imagine what is happening in the book. You aren't part of the story, you are just reading about what's going on in the world. Now, the pleasure with a movie is that they can take everything you've imagined, all the wonderful things that you have thought about in your head, how these things would work, and then they visualize it. You can then see what is going to happen, what is going on in the world. And all those things, all those beautiful things you imagined, you then see them. And that's how you get wonderful stories like the Harry Potter franchise, how you get How to Train Your Dragon, all these wonderful stories that are originally adapted from books. It's great. And that, more often than not, tends to work, unless you're adapting a terrible book, or the person doing the adapting doesn't care about the source material, and they're just going balls to the wall, doing whatever the fuck they want, not respecting the source material, losing the original fans, and then making a terrible movie. But that's more on the terms of the creator of the movie or the book, and not necessarily the fact that the medium they're basing it off of doesn't work. The reason video games don't work is it's basically the same reason why video games that are made from movies don't always work. So if you think about Thor, for example, the Thor movies, well, the first two are arguably not that great. No one really likes the first two Thor films. Now, the original Thor had a video game based off it. Wasn't great, but then this Thor game was rushed. It was put out way earlier than it could have been. Should have been kept behind. It was rushed, and it wasn't actually made for the right purposes. It wasn't made for the fact of wanting to make a really good game. It was made to make money, and that's how you end up with a terrible game. And EA. But when it's the other way around, video games are a lot more interactive than movies or books. They're easily the most interactive genre you could get. With video games, you aren't just telling a story, you aren't just reading a story, you are directing the story. Everything that happens in the game happens because you intend for it to happen. No matter what, no matter if it's cutscenes or gameplay, everything you do is part of the story. There's the option of choice. Choice is always part of a video game. Which way you go, whether or not you open a certain chest, and these things are never going to be captured in a movie. It just wouldn't make sense. If they did, you wouldn't be having a movie. You'd have Beyond Two Souls. That's the type of game you'd have. You'd have a game that is essentially an interactive movie, but ultimately, it's still a game. And even then, you still have choice. You aren't watching a movie, you are playing a game. Movies aren't able to capture the unique things that games can do. So let me give you an example. What's the worst possible movie I can think of? The Mario movie. The Mario movie was awful for all different types of reasons, but at its basis, Mario is not a character you make a movie of, or at least not a live action movie. His world doesn't make sense. for that kind of movie. I could see a potential, you know, animated movie, maybe. I could see an animated movie, but on no chance are you ever gonna have Mario in a live action movie and have it make sense. It's not gonna happen. Even if you had a movie like I can't remember the name of the movie. It's the one where aliens show up and they create video game characters to fight normal people. It was an Adam Sandler movie, that's why I don't remember it. No, I can't remember it, but you know what movie I'm talking about. The movie, ultimately Mario wouldn't even exist, wouldn't work there. Pac-Man didn't work, it wasn't a great movie. My point is, the video game genre is not one you make movies out of. Because you can't capture the same thing, and even if you do, you can't retell the same story. So, if you've seen Tomb Raider, the Tomb Raider movie is essentially the same story as the Tomb Raider reboot, the first one. It's essentially the same kind of story, you know. She goes to the island, she gets lost, she has to survive. Through her journey, she eventually becomes who we all know and love, the Tomb Raider. She becomes Lara Croft, you know, the badass gun-shooting Lara Croft. The reason the movie didn't work is because anyone who's played the games already has not only done the story before, but has had more time with the character over a much longer game than the movie could ever take. Not to say that the movie on its own probably would be fine, but when you compare the two, and when your fan base, the people who are going to see this movie, are people who love the Tomb Raider games and who know Tomb Raider and have played the specific game this movie is based off of, have experienced all these things, you won't be able to capture the same magic the game did. Not gonna happen. So, let's think of we have the Sonic movie coming out recently. Oh, soon anyway. Sonic's movie and the Pokemon movie, they're doing the right kind of thing. They aren't sticking to the story of the games. Because let's face it, if you stuck to the story of the games for Pokemon, that would be a really, really bad movie. Like, a really bad movie. And you could say, well, Detective Pikachu is a game, but it's not doing the exact same story. It's not following everything exact on the path of the game. It is branching out, is doing something different. And it is focusing on the fact that it's Pokemon. They aren't majorly focusing on the people you can see in the trailers. Like, the main thing is, guys, we have Pokemon in this world. Let's focus on that. Let's focus on why we're here. When you make these movies, it's like a Godzilla movie. No one is going for the humans. Everyone wants to see Godzilla. It is the same kind of thing. They're making sure that they are focusing on the right thing and they aren't retelling the story of the games. You retell the story of the games, it's boring for the audience because they've done the story. They've known the story. Everyone knows the story of Pokemon. Everyone who played Tomb Raider knows the story of Tomb Raider. Hell, they've gone past the story of Tomb Raider with the other two games. They aren't interested in seeing a retread. They want a new, fresh story, something interesting, something they can sink their teeth into. Now, don't get me wrong, it is fun to see these set pieces that you have played in the video game and show up in the movies. But again, they're not really capturing the same thing because you've played it. You've been there. You've done that. So it's like watching another gamer do it, but you already know she's going to win. The beauty of a video game or watching someone else play a video game is that they can fail. There's the chance of failure and there's a way of learning, but you know she's going to succeed. There's less tension when you have already played that bit and you know what's going to happen. And there's a certainty that she's not going to die here. Now you can say that, well, obviously she's not going to die here. It's Tomb Raider, the movie. You're not going to die halfway through the film. But again, it's with any kind of character like this. if you have a story that you're already retelling and people already know what's going to happen, unlike a book, it's not visual. With a book, it's not visual, you have to imagine what's going on. A video game, you have seen it, you know what it looks like, so the moment it happens on the screen, on the movie screen, you're like, oh, I did that bit. It's like when Assassin's Creed fans visit different areas in Italy, or you'll see, I don't know if you've seen Facebook posts of like how normal people see the Vatican or something like that, and how Assassin's Creed fans see it, and you see it's like, oh, I see the paths and climbing up the shit. It's kind of the same thing. Not really, because no actual Assassin's Creed fan is going to climb the Vatican. Unless, you know, they do parkour and are really, really ballsy. I ain't that ballsy. I don't do heights. It doesn't, you see what I mean? It doesn't work. The next reason is the target audience. Now, bringing video game movies to life they never really target the right people. Of course, you want to get the largest possible group of people in to see your movie. Makes sense. But when they make these movies, they aren't sitting there thinking, okay, who are we making this for? Let's make this for the general audience, make it an action film that everyone will wanna go see. But they're always missing out on the main people who are going to see this film. It's the gamers. The people who've played these games, the people who enjoy these stories. These are the people who are going to go want to see this movie more than anyone else. So when they focus on it, it really is kind of a balancing act, because then you have movies like World of Warcraft, if you haven't played World of Warcraft, you're fucked. Because I've seen that movie, and fucking hell, I can't remember most of the people in that. It's like Game of Thrones. Don't bother remembering most people's names. Most of them you ain't gonna remember. Some of them probably dead. Fact of life right there. Sorry about the lighting. Anyway, so that kind of thing doesn't really work. So when you have movies like Sonic the Hedgehog, it's a lot easier. It's clearly kids are going to want to see it, but also fans of, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog and the Sonic fandom. That's all types enough. But you do want to make sure that you are focusing on the people who enjoyed these stories originally. Otherwise, you are losing a massive amount of your audience by just not focusing on the people who enjoyed these stories in the first place. Which is something you can see in the fucking new Doom movie. Doom Annihilation. No Doom player, no one who likes Doom is going to see this movie. After the trailer, it's not happening. The general audience isn't going to be interested in Doom already. It doesn't look appealing. It doesn't look like a good movie. It looks like a movie from the Sci-Fi Channel. No offense to the Sci-Fi Channel, but you know what we mean. And then you've got movies, and then yeah, so it looks like the movie from the Sci-Fi Channel, and then you've got nothing going on that would interest any Doom players. You've taken out Doom Guy, who's the main protagonist and the most interesting thing about Doom, because he's basically just a murder machine that people really like to watch, people really like to play. He's what they're going for. They want to see Doom Guy killing a load of monsters, killing a load of demons. They aren't gonna get that. You've already taken the Doom out of the movie. And Doom Guy, or Doom Annihilation, is going to fail without Doom Guy. Hell, if you really wanted to push for a female Doom Guy or Doom Girl, which you didn't do it right. You need to get like the biggest, strongest woman you can find who is an actor. You need to do the best to make them look like Doom Guy or Doom Girl or whatever you want to call her, because that's who the people are going for. They'd be more accepting outside of an incredibly skinny woman who's holding the BFG, and the BFG is bigger than her. Like, no one's going to believe that she's running around fighting demons, kicking them in the dick, pulling their heads off, and hacking through them with a chainsaw. No one's gonna believe that. If I did it, you wouldn't believe it. If you saw, like, some skinny black guy running around with a chainsaw cutting through demons, you'd be looking at, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is Doom Guy? This ain't Doom Guy. What the fuck is this? That's how I'd react, because it sure as shit ain't Doom Guy. So up next, Studio Intentions. Now, I'm gonna bring up a director called Uwe Boll. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. He is notorious for creating a metric shit ton of poor video game movies. Far Cry, for example. Yes, for those who don't know, Far Cry had a movie. No, it was not good. I can't remember what other movies he had made. Let me give that a quick search. Uwe Boll. I can't remember how to spell his name. Yeah. Here we go. Uwe Boll. I literally put Uwe Boll. Okay, so he's made movies like, oh god, did he make? Okay, so he had made Far Cry. There was a Double Dragon movie? Well, holy shit. Double Dragon, Street Fighter, Dead or Alive had a movie? Jesus Christ. These can't all be Uwe Boll movies, surely not. No, they're not. He made Alone in the Dark, Blood Rain, sorry. Far Cry. Jesus Christ, that was bad. Rampage. He made a lot of shit movies. Oh my god. Anyway. Actually, back to my fucking point. Yeah, so that Jesus Christ. So Uwe Boll made a shit ton of video game movies and a shit ton of really bad video game movies. In fact, all of them were bad, which again just ties back to studio intentions. There are times where they're making a film to make a really good film, and there's a time where the first thing they're doing is, okay, we can make a shitload amount of money. And I guess it can also tie into the video games. Assassin's Creed. Not a great movie. Definitely wasn't made to be a good movie. It was made to make money. They banked on that, and more or less it succeeded. It was a really poorly made film. The Animus was a robot arm for some fucking reason. Nothing in the movie, even though they did some callbacks to the actual gaming franchise, it clearly wasn't made for the fans. Now you could argue that Warcraft was more or less for the fans. It definitely had more going for it, and I think that's the reason why general audiences had a harder time with it, because when they sat there and watched it, it was harder to get into for them, but people who had played World of Warcraft had recognized these characters like, oh, I know him, I know him, I know him, I know him. Obviously there's a few characters where even Warcraft players wouldn't know, and the story was hard for them to get into as well, I'm imagining. But they sit there and they had some idea of what was going on. See, that's a movie made with a target audience in mind, and the studio is paying attention to who they're making the movie for. As a result, the movie did actually succeed, did actually do really well. It actually did really well in Japan for some strange reason, probably because it looked like a movie that would be made in Japan. What are the studio intentions? So movies like the Pokemon movie definitely has good studio intentions. They aren't making that movie for the sake of making money purely. They are making it with the intention of making a good movie, based on what I've seen from the trailers. Doom Annihilation is definitely not doing that. It's basically just spat in the face of anyone who likes Doom. So, you know, I mean, I feel like Doom, I want to say Doom, I keep wanting to say Doom Guy. I feel like the actress who's playing the main character has spoken more than enough for herself. If you don't want to know what I'm talking about, just check her Twitter. Yikes. Although to that comment, to her credit, that comment was last year. I don't think she said anything quite so controversial recently. I don't think she has. Hopefully she hasn't. What else? Respecting source material. Yeah, this harkens back to what I said earlier. It is important to pay attention to source material when you're making these types of movies. Not so much that modern audiences and people who don't play video games aren't going to understand, but enough that the gamers who are going to see this movie are going to be like, oh shit, yeah, they really got it, they nailed it. And then the non-video game audiences are going to sit there and like, okay, I get it, that was cool, that must be a gamer thing, I can recognize that, and they can still sit there and enjoy the rest of the movie. Obviously, it is much more of a balancing act, like I said. It's the same thing when you're making a book adaptation. You are focusing on what you can put in, what doesn't really work, but you are still trying to balance the two. You aren't going, oh, we'll just throw everything in, even if it doesn't work in a movie, and you aren't throwing everything out, all the things that everyone would love. Ugh. Oh shit, I'm dying. You aren't throwing all the things out that people would love for no real reason. Ultimately, I think the best way to make an actual video game movie is you want to be able to balance what's going in with what you don't need. So you want to make sure that you aren't taking out too much, so you aren't taking out the parts that make the game what the game was, but you also aren't throwing in unnecessary things. So things that obviously are within the game but people won't immediately recognize or will just clutter up the film. Most films are around 2 hours long. The long ones are maybe 3 hours, 3.5 at worst. Unless you know you're Marvel, in that case you can get away with whatever fucking length movie you want. Pretty sure at this point, if Marvel released a fucking movie of a peanut, people would go and see it. But whatever. So the best type of video game movie you could get would probably be, the best example is the Pokemon movie right now, because it isn't so much focusing on just being a movie. It's also focusing on, well, that's a weird way for me to say it. A better way to say it is focusing on bringing Pokemon to life, which is the main thing everyone wants to see. For example, when I sat there and I was watching the trailer, I saw that I saw the buses, I was like, oh wait a minute, that's London. That's London. That is, like, I know it's obviously not actually London, but I'm sitting there and saying to myself, wait, that's London. This is what Pokemon would be like in London. I sat there and had a mini moment to myself. I was like, oh, that's cool! I want it now! I want the movie! And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that moment of the movie. It isn't just a movie for the sake of being a movie. It is a movie for the sake of Pokemon fans. It is not just out there to make money. It is, hey guys, this is what Pokemon would really be like if they existed in the real world. This is the world, and here's the story we're sculpting within this world. But ultimately, it's Pokemon. And you're gonna love that it's Pokemon. And we're focusing on the fact that it's Pokemon. We aren't focusing on characters unnecessarily. We aren't taking necessary characters out. We are focusing on the important aspects and giving them to you in a way that fits a movie. I think a good example of a video game movie, even though some people might not agree with me, is actually Prince of Persia. I actually enjoyed Prince of Persia. I thought it was actually a relatively good adaptation. I saw moments where it's like, okay, well, there's this, there's that, there's things that don't work, and since Prince of Persia doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately, because I really enjoyed that game series. But I sit there and I was like, you know what, this isn't bad. This isn't anywhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's kind of a good movie. I did sit there and have fun with it. I enjoyed it. Obviously, it wasn't the greatest movie ever made. It definitely had its flaws. But they took the things that I enjoyed from Prince of Persia and they put it in the game. And put it in the movie, I mean. And I appreciated that. And then there's my brother, who doesn't play a lot of video games. I can't say he doesn't really like them, but he doesn't play a lot of them. But he sat there and I remember he enjoyed the movie. He had some fun with it. So the best type of video game movie, because you're never gonna get a video game movie that's anywhere near the quality of some of the greatest movies ever made. You're not gonna get that. It won't happen. You probably aren't even get a movie that's anywhere near the hype of Harry Potter or the hype of, oh god, what was I thinking of? I can't remember. Outside of the Pokemon movie, you aren't really going to get a movie like that. And I think the best you can hope for is a movie like Pokemon. I think that really is the high bar for video game movies. They aren't going to approach any higher. You can't really stack it, because video games, ultimately, while they can tell great stories, it's the story and the gameplay that you're focusing on. If the gameplay doesn't work, no one plays the game. If the story is boring, no one plays the game. Unless you like Fortnite for whatever reason. So video game movies, they do have a place. They can be quality, but this is generally not gonna happen. They aren't the best things that you can get in movies. They do have their place. They can be of a high standard, but they will never be the top movies anywhere. They won't reach the god tier of movies like The Godfather. You're never gonna get a video game movie like The Godfather, unless you took, I don't know, unless you took a series like Red Dead Redemption and got you got Red Dead Redemption and had Quentin Tarantino or someone like that direct the movie, because there ain't no other way I can think of that's getting them to the top tier. But I would love to see a Red Dead Redemption movie with Quentin Tarantino. That would be fucking phenomenal, even though he's essentially made that movie before. Anyway, I would like to hear what you guys think about video game movies, about their place in, the world, and how we should view them, and whether or not you think they do always suck, or do you think they can be great. If you think the Pokemon movie is going to be great, please let me know. If you think the Sonic movie has any chance, please, I genuinely want to know your opinion on this, because I really like the Sonic movie, and I would like to know how you guys feel about that movie. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. Sorry, this video feels kind of off. It's first time I'm kind of doing this kind of thing, and I don't write scripts. I just kind of talk, because I find script writing and keeping myself bogged down kind of unnatural, so it doesn't work for me. If you think that it would be better with a script, maybe I will give it a try. If you would like to see more movie videos or more videos in this format, please let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!